State Superfund site is a 125-acre site that was contaminated with asbestos debris, and as a result of improper demolition of a 1940s era military barracks. It's originally built to treat veterans coming back from World War II with tropical diseases, but it was only in operation for a couple of years, and then it sat vacant. The Oregon Institute of Technology then operated their college here for a number of years, and then the site sat vacant beginning in the 1960s. And in the 1970s, it was bought by developers, and they demolished the buildings, and instead of improperly disposing of asbestos in an approved landfill, most of it was just mixed in with the soil. Homeowners that built here on these properties came in, and they noticed that every spring with the thaw, all these chunks of white material would come to the surface when the ground thawed. And so they called the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, and they in turn called EPA because they confirmed that it was all asbestos-containing material. And virtually in the 1940s,
everything was
made with asbestos, yes. So these buildings had asbestos siding, asbestos roofing, asbestos floor tiles, and the most concerning was that also the steam pipes had a very friable type of asbestos that is very harmful to human health. And there were 80 people living here in the neighborhood, including 30 children under the age of 18. And they were concerned because of the asbestos contamination in their yards and in their soil. And then in 2006, there was a third-party lawsuit between a number of the homeowners and the developer, and they settled it, and it provided for the permanent relocation of all the residents out of the area.
We opted to stay because we don't have any children. So, and I had done we did owner builder, so I did a lot of cleanup in here, and I'd get home and have mud in my nose and ear. It's been 18 years. I don't know if I've been exposed to fibers or not. We did an emergency whatever, and we thought we got it. And in the meantime, they destroyed the grade on our hill. So we had trees up there, and there was like a terrain, step down. And they destroyed that. So for the last however many years from the emergency work till today, that hill's been washing into the side of our house. We can't stop it. The grade is completely off, and we've got a lake out there.
The total cost of the cleanup is going to be about $35 million. Well, they are trying to, essentially completely finish properties as they go along and not have them in all different stages. So once we have removed the trees across most of the site, and but once a property is excavated and cleaned, then they'll bring in the clean fill and then put the cover layer and revegetate it.
Well, you can't sell it. The EPA won't allow it because they just. So yes, discussions about okay, we can wait it out after year 2, and then year 3 kind of starts, and we're starting to scratch our heads and go, And then, as the plan to clean morphed, and they came up with, we have to take out all your trees, I was devastated. I cried and moved here for the trees.
Right.
They moved here to have space and to have, because we own 4 acres, so our property goes all the way back up to there. And when the trees were not cut down or touched, we could see no one's house. We're standing on our driveway, except for the one next door and a little bit of this one. Now we can see. It's like being under a microscope.
A Superfund site is the EPA's list of the most contaminated. It's the national priorities list. It's EPA's list of the most contaminated sites in the nation. And From 2003 through 2009, we were actually just working on trying to get the site cleaned up through our emergency removal program. And it was a bigger job than we could do, and it was going to be more expensive. And so the state of Oregon used a one-time pick that is offered once to each state in the nation to add a site to the national priorities list. And so Oregon used their pick to get Northridge Estates added to the list as a Superfund site so that we could get it cleaned up. And so that happened in 2011. And then we went through the cleanup planning process and came up with a record of decision, which is the formal document on how we're going to be cleaning up the site. And that was done also in 2011. And then we did the engineering and started cleanup here in 2016.
We were able to ask, beg, plead if they could save some of these trees. They call them legacy trees. So they wrapped them and said, don't cut those. And I'm grateful for that. And the EPA ladies, the women that are running this project, top notch. But if you drive to the mailbox and you look back, it looks like a bomb went off. We had the option, maybe we'll go back, because we had grandkids that were babies that are now in college because we can't leave this house. And because we put everything we had into it financially, can't leave and go somewhere else.
Right.
When we bought this property, it had been laid fallow for 10, 12 years, so there was pine needles this deep. We came from Arizona on our honeymoon here. So we're looking around, yeah, this is great, pine trees everywhere. The asbestos was underneath it. We didn't know. We had no clue. We had only been here for a few years, and we really weren't, we were thinking retirement and so on. But because it morphed into what it did, and we're stuck, that has been the most grievous thing I think I've ever dealt with outside of death.
For the most part, there's value in the properties, and the site can be cleaned up and made safe. It's just a big job.